the one.
Bill Reynolds at the weekend on BBC Thames Valley.
BBC News for Berkshire. This is Claire Burgoyne, and Thames Valley News for Berkshire.
It's 31 minutes past the hour of 9 on a Sunday morning from the BBC, ladies and gentlemen. BBC Thames Valley, very good morning. Classic oldie coming up next.
Starting with Dominic Busby. He'll be along after the news at 7. Taking you through to 10 when it's Richard Williams, and lines open on 0645 311 111. From me, Mary Small, thanks for listening. Join me tomorrow.
In Reading, Oxford and Slough on 104.1 and 95.2, this is BBC Thames Valley.
BBC News for Berkshire at 7 o'clock. This is Sean O'Sullivan.
BBC Thames Valley Travel News.
Let's find out what's happening on the roads for the first time this evening. Here's Matt. Hello.
This is BBC Thames Valley.
Sport now, Athens. Look at the weather forecast for tonight. Sunny spells and scattered showers.
On 95.2 and 104.1, this is BBC
With
Thames
Dominic
Valley.
Busby on the evening shift and my guest Ian Pear.
The Information Exchange on BBC Southern Counties Radio.
Yeah, they've done on ITV, of course, they've just done Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, haven't they? Stand by for the BBC version, which might well be Who Wants to Win a Pen? Answer these questions. St Leonard's Church got a flower festival. They're at Seaford, and they're doing it today and tomorrow and Sunday 10 till 5:30. Flower festival, St Leonard's Church at Seaford. The Epsom Playhouse have got Echoes of Ellington. This is on tonight at 7:30. Echoes of Ellington, of course, it's a recreation of the Duke Ellington sound at the Epsom Playhouse tonight at 7:30. And the Arts Centre at Cranley Arts Centre, 8 o'clock tonight. Best of Friends, graduates from the Guildford School of Acting, doing songs and music there.
Get your events on the Information Exchange. BBC Southern Counties Radio. Broadcasting Centre, Guildford, GU2 5AP.
The How to Knock Back Those Chat-Up Lines book is in action this morning. Hey, I'm a photographer for a model agency and I've been looking for a face like yours. I'm a plastic surgeon and I've been looking for a face like yours.
In Leatherhead, Caterham, Hazelmere and Weybridge. This is BBC Southern Counties Radio, getting closer to the best part of Britain.
What's your favourite film, babe? Kodak, what's yours? It's 8 o'clock, the news now with Darren Little.
Love you.
Oxford and Slough on 104.1 and 95.2, this is BBC Thames Valley.
BBC News for Berkshire at 2 o'clock. This is Maurice Flynn.
BBC Thames Valley Sport for Berkshire.
From Faversham to Sevenoaks, Gravesend to Herne Bay, across the county, across the day. Radio Kent from the BBC.
Travel news from BBC Radio Kent.
Not doing too badly.
On 96.7 and 104.2, this is BBC Radio Kent.
95 to 95.3 and 104 to 104.8 FM. BBC Southern Counties Radio. Getting closer to the best part of Britain. Happy Christmas. From BBC Southern Counties Radio. BBC Southern Counties Radio.
Oh, that's called Soft and Snowy. It's public service broadcasting, so I ought to say it anyway. You will take care tonight, won't you? Look after yourselves, and indeed other people if they come a cropper as well. It's only a night like any other night, except it's more expensive, and there isn't as much room in the restaurants, bars, parties, pubs. Take care, enjoy yourselves.
In
See you Monday.
Sussex, Surrey and North East Hampshire. This is BBC Southern Counties Radio, getting closer to the best part of Britain.
With the news, here's Tamsin Kent. It's 5:30. I have to say, when I saw all the timetabling for that, I thought, maybe they'll get it done. I think a lot of you out there thought, nah, never. Not in time for the peak.
Chertsey, Hawley and Caterham. This is BBC Southern Counties Radio. It's your voice.
With the news, here's Rob Cork.
On 104 and 104.6 FM, this is BBC Southern Counties Radio. On 104 and 104.6 FM, this is BBC Southern Counties Radio.
It's Andrew.
Weather this evening and tonight,
which would have made him the highest paid player in the club's history. You're up to date with the news for Surrey, North East Hampshire and Crawley on BBC Southern Counties Radio.
BBC Southern Counties Radio Travel. It's the voice that keeps you moving.
And here's Pippa with the latest.
Bill Buckley on BBC Southern Counties Radio.
After a quick...
BBC Southern Counties Radio. It's your voice.
BBC Thames Valley Travel News.
First, let's see what's happening on the roads. Here's Andy.
Thanks very much, Dominic. Quite a few problems, I'm afraid. Not necessarily on the roads. We had a few problems on the roads. The M25 at the moment, if you're going anti-clockwise towards junction 12, it's still a little bit slow there. It will be quite a bit late. That's it for now. I'll see you again in 15 minutes.
Thank you very much indeed, my friend. In the snug, then, we're going to retire to the snug now. My After 8 guest is author Juliet McKenna, and she'll be popping in for a quiet chat, maybe a gin and tonic and a choice of records from the jukebox. So stick around and do stay with us, won't you?
In Reading, Oxford and Slough on 104.1 and 95.2. This is BBC Thames Valley.
It's 8 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Suzanne Searle. Surgeons at the Royal Hampshire County Hospital at Winchester in Hampshire. In sport, any showers will die out by midnight. A slight frost on its way. Temperatures falling to 0 Celsius.
Dominic Busby on BBC Thames Valley.
This is your local.
One county, one station. BBC Radio Kent with Dominic Busby. On 96.7 and 104.2. One county, one station. BBC Radio Kent.
One county, one station. BBC Radio Kent.
The Late Shift. The Late Shift. The Late Shift on BBC Radio Kent. Call BBC Radio Kent now on 0645 811111. On 96.7 and 104.2, one county, one station. BBC Radio Kent.
It's 9 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Stephanie Spencer. The Information Exchange on BBC Southern Counties Radio.
What's going on there? The Museum of Farnham have got an exhibition of ceramics, furniture and pictures by the late Sir John Verney. They're at 38 West Street in Farnham. Museum of Farnham there. And this is on from today right through till April.
Nice tune this, I always think, don't you? Feel free to sing along at home. Sorry there's no karaoke machine for the words, but you know how these things go.
southern.counties.radio@bbc.co.uk.
And indeed,
BBC Southern Counties Radio. It's your voice. BBC Southern Counties Radio. It's your voice. BBC Southern Counties Radio. Your voice in Surrey.
What's this? Hold
we don't need a hat to keep
BBC Essex News, the next bulletin is at 2 o'clock.
Oh, well, wrong one.
Anyway, what are we doing? Listen.
Dear old Dom.
The wood is. Don't mess about.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That just about wraps up this Saturday's edition of Gilham Gold here at BBC Thames Valley 104.4 and 104.1 in Reading and West Berkshire. This is Tony Gilham saying thanks for your company. Enjoy the rest of the weekend and I'll catch you back here next Saturday at 12 noon.
On 104.1 and 95.2, this is BBC Thames Valley.
On 96.7 in the west and 104.2 in the east.
News, views and entertainment.
This is BBC Radio Kent. Dominic Busby on BBC Southern Counties Radio. Surrey and North East Hampshire. This is BBC Southern Counties Radio. It's your voice.
This is BBC Radio Solent.
Join Pippa and me for the dawn of a new millennium here on BBC Southern Counties Radio through the night from 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve.
Reflect, celebrate, anticipate with BBC Southern Counties Radio.
BBC Southern Counties Radio. Your voice in Surrey.
Join Neil and I from 11 o'clock on New Year's Day 2000.
Natalie, can I come down from this ladder now?
Limpsfield, Oxted, Lingfield, East Grinstead, Danehill, Chailey, Lewis, Telscombe, Peacehaven. Through the millennium and across the meridian. BBC Southern Counties Radio. It's your voice. On 95.4, BBC Thames Valley, Jeremy Drive, driving Berkshire home.
Once we've been through the change on Monday, hey, I will be here to do it all again next Saturday between 9 and 12. I look forward to your company then.
PG.
BBC Thames Valley Travel. On the move in East Berkshire. In Slough, Burnham and Eton on 95.4, this is BBC Thames Valley, listening to East Berkshire.
BBC News for Berkshire.
BBC Radio Berkshire. Catch up on the day's events with Jeremy Dry. Andrew Peach's Breakfast. Weekdays from 6 on the new BBC Radio Berkshire.
Update on the...
BBC Radio Berkshire Travel. Your eyes on the journey ahead.
Across the county, this is Nick Godwin.
If you're stuck in a traffic jam, call BBC Radio Berkshire on 0645 311 333.
And coming up after the news at 12 o'clock, it's the Requests and Dedications Hour. Yes, with me, Chris Phillips, and we'll have your requests, dedications. Give us a call now on 0645 311 111.
And Windsor, it's your voice. BBC Radio Berkshire.
BBC Radio Berkshire News at 12 o'clock. This is Abigail Uden.
Very good. The latest travel news for beds, hearts and bucks from BBC Three Counties Radio.
Just having a look at that northbound A1 for you coming through with Sandy. It's still partly blocked following a recovery of a lorry that was involved in an accident some hours ago now. Obviously, a recovery is taking a lot longer than everyone anticipated. Stoke Hammond, if you're coming through there along Leighton Road, let me tell you there's some roadworks and part-time lights to greet you, and there are queues in both directions. So a couple of problems on the Underground Jubilee line, still suffering from delays. So too is the Central line. Carl Green with BBC Three Counties Travel.
Sorting out more problems than any other consumer program in the land, and you can check that one out if you like. Stephen Rhodes and the consumer team, if you need us, we're on 0645 455 555.
The BBC in beds, hearts and bucks.
On 103.8, 95.5 and 104.5 FM.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
For beds, hearts and bucks.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Real people, real places, real radio.
The 1 o'clock news from the BBC.
If at first you don't succeed, call Stephen and the team on 0645 455 555.
The Stephen Rhodes Consumer Programme.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On Monday, the 27th of March, BBC London Live 94.9 is born.
Proud of London. Laughing in London.
Fighting for London. Living in London.
7 days a week.
24 hours a day.
With presenters like Paul Ross and Claire McDonnell.
Weekdays 6 until 9.
You lucky people.
Robert Elms.
Weekdays 9 till noon.
I think you'll get a sense of you having the conversations that you would like to have.
Alice Beer.
Weekdays 12 till 2.
Tackling cheats and bashing bureaucracy. Lisa Ianson.
Sunday to Thursday 2 till 4.
You had to tune in. And Bill Overton and Claire Cadford.
Weekdays 4 till 7.
On London Live Drive Time. Hope you can join us. BBC London Live.
Starting on Monday the 27th of March.
A new station for London.
This is London.
94.9 FM.
BBC London Live.
News for London from the BBC on GLR 94.9 FM. 2020 travel. BBC London Live 94.9.
And there's been an accident this lunchtime over in East London in the Barking area. It's upsetting the eastbound flow at the moment along Alfred's Way, just by the junction of Ripple Road and Lodge Avenue. Give that one a wide berth for about an hour whilst they sort that one out. Over in West London, you'll have delays coming into the central area on the main A4. Talgarth Road junction of North End Road, just prior to the Earls Court area. Roadworks in the near side lane at that very busy traffic junction, now causing heavy delays well back onto Hammersmith Flyover. So if you're coming in from Heathrow, the M4 and the Hogarth roundabout, there are delays ahead of you. Now, we just heard from the police down in South London some emergency roadworks to a collapsed manhole cover on the A127 Brighton Road at the junction of the Drive, now causing delays northbound, and they're going to be undergoing repairs there for the next 2, possibly 3 days. It's a main route, morning and evening peak, allow extra time. Now, here in the central area, underpass at Euston still solid, east and westbound between Park Crescent by Regent's Park Tube Station, right the way through into the King's Cross area. And the Royal Parks Police have just advised us that part of South Carriage Drive is now shut until further notice between Park Lane and the gate for exiting for Exhibition Road and Kensington Gore by the music hall there, and that's causing big problems at the bottom end of Park Lane. Over in southeast London, the traffic lights are out of action at Kennington Park Road, take care at the junction of Camberwell New Road, and on the underground there are still some delays on the Circle Line, the Metropolitan, the Hammersmith and City. That was all down to an earlier signal failure at Baker Street, but those networks are slowly getting back to normal. I'm Bob Richards with London Live 2020 Travel. The next update in 20 minutes.
Your brand new all-purpose nutritious breakfast. It's London Live 94.9 FM with me, Paul Ross.
And me, Claire McDonnell.
And 3 accidents, all causing delays. A couple over in West London, one on the A4, the busy Cromwell Road, just by the museums, just by the junction of Queen's Gate, westbound on the A4, 2 lanes down to 1, and that's causing delays heading out of town. And another one just up the road from there in Kensington, Scarsdale Villas has had to be shut between Marlows Road and Abingdon Road, and also part of Allen Street is shut to southbound traffic. And over in East London, another accident in Barking, Alfred's Way, still slow going eastbound at the junction of Ripple Road and Lodge Avenue. And finally, on the underground, there are delays on the Circle Line, the Metropolitan, the Hammersmith and City due to an earlier signal failure at Baker Street. I'm Bob Richards with London Live 2020 Travel. The next update in 20 minutes.
London Live on 94.9 FM. London calling.
From the BBC.
This is London Live.
It's 3 o'clock. I'm Chandrika Chevley.
Lisa Ianson on London's newest radio station, BBC London Live.
BBC Radio Kent.
And here with the details is Lucy. About his career, straight after the news at 8 o'clock.
One county, one station. BBC Radio Kent News.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Hannah Laslett. BBC News and...
One county, one station.
BBC Radio Kent. Say, we want to say hello to them. That would be absolutely wonderful. I got a nice letter this morning. I gave a mention for some friends over from America last week, and they were just so thrilled to get a little mention on your wireless. So if you want a request played or any dedication, it's Paul James, BBC Radio Kent, Sunpier, Chatham, Kent, ME44EZ. Please send those letters, keep the cards coming, because this is your programme on a Sunday. Coming up next, it's the news at midday, and then we're here for another hour and a half, and of course, we'll open the hotline as well.
One county, one station. BBC Radio Kent News.
It's 12 o'clock. I'm Mark Egan.
BBC Radio Kent with Paul James.
BBC Radio Kent.
BBC Radio Kent with Andy Garland.
BBC Radio Kent.
BBC Essex. Travel news from BBC Essex.
And it's time to check on the travel with...
On 103.5 and 95.3 FM, your local radio.
BBC Essex.
One county, one station. BBC Radio Kent News.
A very good evening to you. It's exactly 6 o'clock on Monday, the 18th of December, 2000. An update on the weather and the sport in a few moments.
Problems on the eastern section of the M25 in Essex. A broken down lorry causing clockwise delays between junction 27 for the M11 and junction 28 at Brook Street. Tailbacks currently back to Honey Lane, the A121 at junction 26. Up to the north in Hertfordshire, the M1 starting to build northbound now from junction 7 up to junction 8, from the M10 up to the A414. Out in West London, the A406 slowing down through Ealing along the Hanger Lane stretch, southbound heading down towards Finsbury Park, and Marylebone Road looking heavy eastbound into the Euston Underpass. I'm Pippa Sparks, London Live Travel, the next update at 4:30.
London Live on 94.9 FM.
London calling.
From the BBC.
This is London Live.
It's 4 o'clock.
On 94.9 FM, this is BBC London Live.
Long delay from Finsbury Park following a serious accident under the railway at Finsbury Park station. The A1201 Stroud Green Road closed between the A503 Seven Sisters Road and the B150 Woodstock Road. As a result, police are advising you to avoid the area. The diversions are either through the Hornsey Road along through Crouch End or taking green lanes up to Turnpike Lane. Expect a lot of congestion on those routes during the rush hour, and a major congestion to the south of the Finsbury Park area as well. The closures anticipated to stay in for the rest of the evening, so it's worth avoiding the Finsbury Park area on the roads if you possibly can. Pippa Sparks, London Live Travel, the next update at 5 o'clock.
On 94.9 FM, BBC London.
The Home Secretary David Blunkett has announced a sweeping overhaul of the asylum system. More BBC London headlines at 8.
On 94.9 FM, this is BBC London.
Worth avoiding the Elephant Castle on your way home if you possibly can. Got a shed load of glass on the A3 at Newington Butts, causing delays in both directions for the A3 between Kennington and the Elephant Castle. It's absolutely gridlocked. The New Kent Road roundabout at the Elephant Castle as well. Long delays throughout the area for you, especially if you're heading into the Walworth Road. Elsewhere, we've got the Blackwall Tunnel Northern approach easing now, coming down from Gilenda Street following horrific southbound queues this afternoon. The M4 are recovering a little bit too, eastbound heading out of Heston, but you do pick up real speed once you get to the elevated section. The A4 is looking clear going into London. Pippa Sparks, BBC London Travel. The next update is at 7:45. And looking at the Victoria Embankment, that's looking heavy now, westbound, heading up towards Westminster Bridge and Parliament Square. Down to the southeast, avoid the Elephant and Castle if you possibly can. Got a spillage on the A Street Newington Butts. It's not only delaying Newington Butts north and southbound between Kennington and the Elephant and Castle, but it's snarling up all approaches to both roundabouts in the area. A good one to avoid if you can. Accident on the M1 still causing problems. It's on the approach to Junction 11 at Dunstable. The tailbacks are reportedly back to Junction 9 and the A5. And the A2 has westbound delays from the Bean interchange into the M25 at Darrenth following an earlier accident in the rush hour. Silverlink services disrupted following a line-side fire at the Silvertown Tunnel. No service between Custom House and North Woolwich. Buses are accepting tickets on local routes, and a broken-down train in Sutton is disrupting southbound Thameslink services. Pippa Sparks, BBC London Travel. The next update at 9 o'clock.
BBC London on 94.9 FM.
On TV, on radio, online.
This is BBC London.
It's 8:01. I'm Marcus Churchill.
It's going to be sunny today.
Midday on BBC Radio Solent.
Andy with you until 5 today, and plenty to come in the next 3 hours.
96.7 and 104.2 FM, 774 AM.
With news from across the county and around the world, this is BBC Radio Kent.
It's 2 o'clock. I'm Gemma Smith.
bbc.co.uk/Kent.
History.
Finance.
Competitions.
Learn French.
Friends.
Sport. The ultimate guide to where you live.
Andy Garland.
Afternoon.
BBC Radio Kent.
It's true, we're all fine now.
And on the roads, problem.
So the weather.
BBC Radio Berkshire.
BBC Radio Berkshire.
Travel.
Let's get the latest now with Richie.
Yes, good afternoon. Not too bad through the roadworks on the M4 between Langley and Slough Junctions 5 and 7. The A4 has been reopened as well at halfway just west of Newbury after that earlier accident this afternoon. But watching out for temporary lights on the A4 in Reading, Barclay Avenue at the junction of Bath Road. Also got temporary lights in Eton on the High Street around the junction of Keats Lane. Now there's racing at Windsor this evening. The first race is at 25 to 6. Expect some extra traffic there around the racecourse and the A308. And of course on the trains got that reduced service on First Great Western between Paddington and Reading. 2 out of the 4 lines are closed because of the engineering works between Slough and Maidenhead. I'm Richie Hawkins. That's the latest from the BBC Radio Berkshire Travel Centre.
Thanks very much indeed, Richie. 08459 311 333 is the number to call if you see any hot spots. Time now for me to hand over to Mr. Jim Cathcart.
Nicole, thank you very much indeed. Did you have a good weekend, by the way?
I had a lovely weekend, thank you very much
catch up with you earlier on?
No, we'll have a gossip later,
Oh,
shall
good,
we?
good stuff. Anyway, on the programme this afternoon between now and 7 o'clock this evening, well, another top 10 for you. We're talking albums on the programme today, the top 10 selling albums of all time. We've also got, for Speedway fans, a signed Reading Racers jacket to give away on the show, so stay tuned for that. Simple question coming up after the news at 4.
BBC Radio Berkshire. In Wokingham,
Tilehurst
and Cookham.
BBC Radio Berkshire.
BBC Radio Berkshire, it's 4 o'clock. I'm Sarah Burbage.